am Dominus Cinephile.
Welcome to my movie and TV series reviews, where I will provide honest opinions of the latest releases. If the movie or TV series is a hit or a miss, be sure to know I will inform you. But if the movie or series is trash, be also sure to know that I will trash the hell out of the movie. I am Dominus Cinephile.
And the movie on the review table today is the Hollywood film Ballerina. The movie is marketed as From the World of John Wick, Ballerina, and it's a 2025 American action thriller directed by Len Wiseman and written by Shay Hatton. As the fifth installment in the John Wick franchise, it bridges the brutal fallout of Chapter 3, Parabellum and the chaos to come in Chapter 4. Ana de Armas leads the carnage as Eve Macaro, a deadly ballerina-turned-assassin, flanked by Gabriel Byrne, Catalina Sandino Moreno, and Norman Reedus. Franchise veterans Angelica Houston, Ian McShane, Keanu Reeves, and the late Lance Reddick, in his final performance, return to add weight and continuity to this savage, high-octane chapter. In a world ruled by assassins, alliances, and blood-soaked codes, Ballerina narrates the story of Eve Macaro as she emerges from the shadows, graceful, lethal, and broken by tragedy. Trained in the ruthless underworld of the Ruska Roma, Eve was sculpted into a weapon under the cold eye of the director, Angelica Houston. But her quiet exile is shattered when her family is brutally murdered by a secretive and sadistic cult operating within the High Table's orbit. With nothing left but the echoes of her past and the rage in her soul, Eve sets out on a relentless path of vengeance. Guided by fragments of truth and whispered names, she storms through a labyrinth of killers, crime syndicates, and corruption, leaving a trail of bodies in her pirouette of vengeance. Along the way, she crosses paths with John Wick, who offers her not mercy, but a mirror, a reflection of what this life of vengeance can cost. Still, Eve chooses the blade. With time running out and enemies closing in from all sides, including those she once trusted, Eve must decide whether her war is about justice or if it's just bloodlust in disguise. Will she bring down the monsters who destroyed her life, or will she become one of them? The answer lies in the final act, and it doesn't dance. Ballerina premiered in theaters on June 6, 2025, with high expectations and a hefty $90 million production budget riding on its success. Initially projected to open with $28 to $30 million in the US and Canada, the film stumbled out of the gate, pulling in just $3.75 million from Thursday previews, and debuting at a disappointing $24.5 million, finishing a distant second behind Disney's Lilo and Stitch. As of June 13th, Ballerina has earned only $31.1 million domestically and $26 million overseas, bringing its global total to a modest $57.1 million, falling short of its production budget. Only time will tell whether Ballerina can recover at the box office, or if its weak reception is already confirming it as a costly misfire. Now, let's dive into this review and see if the film delivers the gripping, high-octane action fans expect from the John Wick universe, or if the disappointing box office numbers are a reflection of the brutal truth. Audiences simply aren't buying what this spin-off is selling. I walked into Ballerina at the cinema just days after enduring the disaster that is Straw on Netflix. A film so poorly executed, it felt like a personal insult. I needed something brutal, fast-paced, and satisfying to cleanse my cinematic palate from that madness. You can check out my full Straw review right here on my channel. As I watched Ballerina, I couldn't help but think of Red Sparrow, 2018, the dark, stylish thriller starring Jennifer Lawrence. Both films share the premise of a female assassin forged in violence and discipline. But that's where the comparison ends. While Red Sparrow leaned heavily into psychological manipulation and slow-burning espionage, Ballerina, led by Ana de Armas, trades emotional depth for raw, unrelenting action. There's no time for mind games here, just high-stakes combat, bullets, blades, and vengeance. It's less about what's going on in the assassin's head, and more about how many bones she can break before the credits roll. Let's get one thing straight. This film is packed with fight scenes. If you're a hardcore fan of the John Wick franchise, you'll probably enjoy Ballerina for its relentless action alone, even if you have to ignore some glaring flaws along the way. From the moment you sit down, prepare for a barrage of gunfights, hand-to-hand combat, and choreographed brutality. Nearly 3/4 of the movie is dedicated to it. And while the action doesn't quite reach the slick, bone-crunching standard of the main John Wick films, it's still entertaining enough to keep you locked in. Now, credit where it's due. Ana de Armas clearly put in the work to physically carry this role. Her fight sequences are demanding, and her dedication is obvious. But here's where it gets shaky. Her character, Eve, is a petite, 5-foot-something ballerina with a slim frame, yet somehow she's absorbing full-force blows, kicks, and bone-rattling impacts without a scratch. No bruises, no blood, not even a smudge of dirt on her perfectly done makeup. It stretches believability to its limit. And while we understand Eve is supposed to be a highly trained killer, the way she mows down wave after wave of enemies makes them look less like deadly opponents and more like cardboard cutouts in a training simulation. She's portrayed with the unstoppable force of John Wick, but without the grounded weight, grit, or scars that made his violence feel earned. Some things in Ballerina work, others fall flat. The story and script borrow heavily from the original John Wick, with a familiar revenge-driven narrative at its core. It's straightforward, no complex twists or deep introspection, but it does deliver a solid surprise that gives the plot an extra kick. Much like the first film, there's a protector dynamic at play. Only this time, it's John Wick himself who should be eliminating Eve, but chooses instead to shield her. It mirrors Willem Dafoe's role from the original film, and I genuinely appreciated how John's decision stayed consistent with his character's moral code. Eve is a compelling presence. Her life is steeped in tragedy, and while she doesn't go through a strong character arc, she undeniably grows deadlier with age and experience. Ana de Armas embodies that quiet, lethal force well. And despite the character's unbelievable resilience in some scenes, her performance is fierce. Up until her interaction with John Wick, she owns every fight she steps into. But let's not ignore the flaws. The dialogue often feels stilted and unnatural, pulling me out of the moment more than once. At times, it sounds more like rehearsed lines than real conversations. That said, the comedic beats surprisingly landed, injecting moments of levity into the chaos that actually worked. It gave the film a well-balanced tone, even in the middle of all the bullets and blood. The director's vision is clear and effective. This film was designed as pure, adrenaline-pumping entertainment, and on that front, it absolutely delivers. After the initial setup, the movie wastes no time diving headfirst into relentless action. From that point on, it's a non-stop barrage of fight sequences, shootouts, and explosive moments, easily making up 90% of the film's runtime. And honestly, it's spectacular. The level of physical commitment, choreography, and stunt coordination on display is nothing short of impressive. You can feel the intensity behind each movement, and the variation in fighting styles between characters is one of the film's strongest points. It not only adds depth to their personalities, but also prevents the combat from becoming repetitive. Every fight tells you something about who these people are, from brutal brawlers to precise tacticians. Visually, the film is a knockout. The cinematography is sleek and dynamic, capturing the action with clarity and energy. The editing is tight and purposeful, enhancing the momentum without becoming chaotic. Some of the CGI work is so seamless, especially the digitally added buildings, that you wouldn't even realize what's real and what's not unless someone told you. That level of execution deserves real credit. The choice to shoot in Prague adds another layer of aesthetic richness. The city's rugged, old-world charm gives the film a textured, European feel that blends beautifully with the chaos unfolding on screen. It's a smart setting that elevates the atmosphere and helps distinguish Ballerina from other generic action thrillers. Let's talk about a few of the performances in Ballerina, starting with the one carrying the entire film, Ana de Armas. As the lead, she doesn't just play Eve Makarov, she becomes her. Ana steps into the role with a controlled intensity that's hard to ignore. Her physical commitment to the fight choreography is undeniable, and she brings a cold, focused edge to Eve that fits the assassin persona. She moves like she's lived through pain, loss, and years of brutal training. Even if the script doesn't always give her the emotional range to fully explore those scars. But while she nails the action, there are moments where her performance feels slightly restrained, especially in the quieter, emotional scenes. There's a vulnerability beneath the surface that never fully gets the chance to break through, which could have made Eve more layered and human. Still, with what she was given, Ana delivers a performance that's fierce, captivating, and physically dominant. She owns the screen, even when the script doesn't always serve her. Now, let's move on to the returning legends from the John Wick universe, starting with Keanu Reeves. Keanu steps back into John Wick's shoes with the same stoic presence and quiet rage we've come to expect, but this time with a slight twist. In Ballerina, he plays a more subdued, almost ghost-like version of the Baba Yaga. Not front and center, but always looming with quiet intensity. His scenes with Ana de Armas carry weight, and when he speaks, you listen, even if it's just a few words. He's not here to steal the spotlight, but rather to anchor the film in the world fans know. It's a smart use of his character, though you can't help but feel that he deserved more screen time and better dialogue. Still, Keanu's presence elevates the film, even in a supporting capacity. Ian McShane, as always, brings sophistication and authority as Winston. His delivery is sharp, his mannerisms precise, and every line he speaks drips with calculated menace. He doesn't get much to do here, but he doesn't need to. McShane's charisma does the heavy lifting. He reminds you why Winston is one of the most intriguing figures in this franchise, always playing chess while others throw punches. And finally, a heartfelt tribute to the late, great Lance Reddick. Appearing here in his final screen role as Charon, the ever-loyal concierge of the Continental, Lance brings a calm dignity that stands in beautiful contrast to the chaos around him. His performance is brief but impactful, a soft-spoken strength that made Charon one of the most beloved characters in the John Wick series. Watching him here is bittersweet. It's a quiet farewell, and it hits hard. His presence will be deeply missed, and his legacy in this franchise is forever cemented. It's easy to look at Ballerina's underwhelming box office numbers and assume it's a failure, but that would be a mistake. Numbers don't always tell the full story, and in this case, they certainly don't reflect the sheer energy, intensity, and craftsmanship that went into this film. Yes, Ballerina has struggled to find its audience out of the gate, but that doesn't mean the movie lacks value or impact. This is a gritty, action-packed thriller that delivers on its promise. Relentless combat, sleek visuals, and a fierce lead performance that proves Ana de Armas can hold her own in a franchise built on blood and bullets. More importantly, Ballerina isn't trying to outshine John Wick. It's carving its own path within that brutal, stylish world. It's a spin-off, yes, but it's also the beginning of something new. Just like the original John Wick started small before building a global phenomenon, Ballerina could be laying the foundation for a darker, more personal branch of the franchise. It's a humble start, but one with serious potential. And sometimes, all a great saga needs is a first step, even if it stumbles at the box office. In time, with the right storytelling and a deeper exploration of its characters, this could evolve into a worthy series of its own. In summary, Ballerina is a brutal, visually striking, and action-heavy addition to the John Wick universe that doesn't hold back. It's not perfect, the script has its weak spots, the dialogue occasionally falters, and the plot plays it safe. But what it delivers in sheer adrenaline and style is more than enough to satisfy fans of the franchise. Ana de Armas proves she has the grit and presence to carry an action film, and the supporting cast, from Keanu Reeves to Ian McShane, helps ground it in the world we already know and love. While its box office numbers may not reflect its effort, Ballerina feels like the start of something, a spin-off with the heart of an underdog and the potential to grow into its own legacy. It's not trying to be John Wick, it's building something adjacent, something more emotionally raw and personal. The film lays down the groundwork with blood, bullets, and a ballerina's grace under fire. If you're in it for the action, Ballerina delivers. If you're looking for another chapter in the ever-expanding John Wick mythos, it's a worthy addition. And if you're doubting it because of the early numbers, don't. Some stories just take a little longer to leave their mark. And now for my rating. Ballerina scores a well-deserved 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon for notifications. Also, be sure to follow me on TikTok, WhatsApp channel, and Instagram @Domino's Cinephile for more movie and TV series reviews. Domino's Cinephile, signing out.